instead of me fixing myself, I try and fix someone else. And you can't fix anyone else. The only person you can fix is yourself. All we can do is support other people.
Why do we attract certain people? You were saying like we attract someone that might have something broken inside of them so we can bring harmony or balance? What were you saying?
So basically as humans, humanity, or the way we are, because of a wired for love nature in the mind, brain and body, when something is off, we drawn to that to restore balance. So that's why very often you will see, you may recognize your brokenness, which is one of the comments you made in someone else, and that could draw you to them. Or it could be that you just see something that you didn't really experience, but it could have triggered something or didn't trigger something. But just the mere fact that you're human, there's a desire to help. That's what people go in. That's what people look at what you've done with your life. You help people.
Right.
One of your biggest features about you as a person is you have a desire to constantly help others. And that's very authentic and very real. People see that very clearly in you.
But when it happens, here's the interesting thing. You hear this in, sometimes you hear women who will try to find a guy who maybe has a deficiency or is broken or something's off, right? And they see the potential. And they're like, okay, I want to go help this person overcome this challenge or this pain or this struggle and fix them. And they struggle for that guy to change or transform or heal or grow. Or when they do transform, then there's nothing else to fix, or they try to reinvent new problems to fix in them. So what happens when a woman who is not healed finds a healthy man, a man who's working on himself, who wants to grow, who's doing it independently, but doesn't need like all this fixing? Why is she unable to be okay and happy in a healthy relationship?
Because there's brokenness in her, and what she's trying to fix is herself, externalizing it. And you'll see that male to female, you'll see it in male to male relationship, female to female relationship, whatever.
Really?
In any kind of relationship, it's not just a male to female thing, female to male thing. It's also in any kind of gender relationship. So it's the unique person. So first we must look at the person, see ourselves as a unique human being, and then we look at what our gender is. And that's really important, because otherwise we're going to have this unconsciously have this sort of sexist thing that it's done in one side or another kind of thing. And it's very, I'm not contradicting what you're saying. It's I totally agree. It could be a female to whatever.
Both, it's all,
So essentially, this brokenness is the first question that you made. We can be attracted to, and it's not the law of attraction. We are not talking about that. Absolutely not. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. That's a whole different story and a whole different, very unscientific story too. But there's elements of truth in everything. What we're talking about here is the essence of what I have missing in my relationship. I need to either I see in someone else and want to fix, or I want to, because I'm trying to fix
what
my
I have
own
missing in my relationship to myself.
Yes.
I need to find in someone else that I can fix.
Yes. And there's two key things over there. Is instead of me fixing myself, I try and fix someone else. And you can't fix anyone else. The only person you can fix is yourself. All we can do is support other people.
That's when it gets even more challenging in relationships, when you're constantly trying to change someone. You're constantly trying to fix them or change them. I just feel like that's where a lot of stress and chaos happens. It's conflict, because you're not accepting them.
Exactly.
You're not choosing them based on acceptance.
Exactly. I can give you an example.
Yes.
I can give you an example of a relationship of people that have been married for quite a few years. And the male, I'm not obviously mentioning names, I'm going to protect people's identity, but the male, the husband in the relationship used to get incredibly irritated with his wife and switch off, and found her just demanding and always like nagging, and they had just kind of got into this pattern of, very unhealthy, and it got to the point where the kids are out of home and all that kind of thing, and this person is basically at a point where, this is like, do I carry on with this, which is very often what happens once
after the kids are gone.
Yeah, then you realize that, and this person started doing the neurocycle. I mean, they started working through this process and started initially very skeptical, and basically the neurocycle is just mind management. It's the scientific way that you get your mind, messy mind, to listen to your wise mind, to change your neuroplasticity. So it's mind-driven neuroplasticity. So it's the science of how do I find how I'm showing up and how can I change that, which is your question you asked right in the beginning. Can we change this, or do we have to live with all of this? Yes, we can change it. So that person, that husband lived with that relationship for years, but you don't have to live for however 40, 50 years of marriage. It was long that they were in. You don't have to live with it. You can train your kids to start looking at these things in yourself so that you can become healthy and pick up things quickly and change them. Long story short, after a period of like initially being very skeptical, suddenly a connection was made around about 3 weeks into the process of, oh, I'm actually blocking off to my wife, and she is just trying to get me to connect with her. That's what sounds like the nagging. And me seeing her as just wanting everything to be perfect all the time and finding that really irritating is actually triggering my poor relationship with my dad.
Wow.
And my dad was one who required complete and utter perfectionism.
Oh my gosh.
And used to constantly go. So as soon as what sounded
Someone's
similar,
nagging me or criticizing me.
I shut off, I protect, coping mechanism. And the realization has transformed and saved a marriage. I mean, I've left a lot of detail out, but that's the essence of the story.
Sure.
So there's an incident of years of this growing, there's the initial incident as a child growing up, but the parent that loved the child, but had a way of dealing that made that child feel not good enough.
How much does our love as adults in relationships reflect based on what we witnessed our parents love like as kids?
Huge, Lewis.
Really?
It's really huge. Having said that, if you didn't witness a good relationship, it doesn't mean you can't have one. But it does mean you're going to have to overcome a lot of obstacles, and that is definitely...
It's harder.
It's harder. It's definitely harder because it generally leads to a lot of mistrust. And
as an adult in relationships.
Exactly. Yeah. And what very often happens is that when you've seen that you haven't had a good model, you don't get into deep enough relationships, and then you can get hurt very easily, or you kind of end up maybe sort of almost using people without even consciously using people, and you meet people that are also broken, so you use each other, so it creates a lot of distrust and sort of fear and lack of commitment, and you look for any things will trigger you much more quickly and that kind of thing. So it's really important to You know what I always say when it comes to parenting, because I'm a parent of 4 kids, as you know, and all 4 work with us, which is quite a miracle too, which is amazing if you think of it. But I always tell my kids this: I was someone's daughter, and I have a mom and a dad, and they were someone's daughter and son, and each person had baggage. So you cannot go into a marriage, a relationship, and parenting without baggage. We know that. It's logical. So you've got all this come down, and it's in these networks, and it plays out and it's triggered. And whatever isn't resolved will be triggered badly. And whatever is resolved, well, you'll handle it. You'll see, oh, I could be like that, but I'm like this. Or my mom did that, but I'm not going to do that. And so in other words, that's where you've worked through something. So what we need to do as daughters and sons going into relationships is to say, okay, I honor what my parents went through. They maybe didn't have a great relationship. I don't know the ins and outs. It's not really a child's responsibility to know all the intimate details of why a marriage broke down. To certain, there's a certain amount that they should know and a certain amount that they shouldn't know, and recognize that, sometimes things don't work out, and to honor these stories, but at the same time, you have the right to honor the impact it had on your life.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want more inspiring clips like this, make sure to click right here to subscribe and click right here to watch that next video that is specific to support you in your life.